catching fish.
This whole thing started because all I wanted to do in life was to make a newspaper and call it the Double Standard. That's what I decided to do. Get a newspaper named the Double Standard, and then everything in it would be revolved around that. But it took me somewhere that I had to go. This is really strange, so I just needed to show you. I'll get my cameraman over here. He charges like $40 an hour for what he does. He doesn't do jack. Anyways, here I'm searching for the Double Standard, right? And this comes up. It says, before Azha, when I went to the animal market on the superhighway to buy sacrificial animals, well, I noticed that the road linking Shara, Pakistan to the superhighway was completely damaged. And after the Sanrab Goth Bridge, there was almost no road, and it looked as if there was nothing but a lot of rocks strewn about. And the damaged portion of the road, which is no more than 150 meters long, should have been rebuilt. I request the authorities concerning this to take notice of this and release the funds for construction of the road. A number of vehicles use this road, which has the entry and exit point for Karachi, where they get their animals for sacrifice, apparently. So, yeah, I was thinking about, a newspaper, but I'm like, what in the world is this all about? And it's about a double standard in the roads. See? So, it's like, okay, let's see if I can't just find what I'm really looking for. So I come across another one, right? I have to turn this on because it's my only professional lighting in there. Anyways, I come across another one here. Citizen throngs market to buy sacrificial animals. Buyers are seen bargaining with animal dealers, and the well-off prefer the supermarket, say that bargaining is a waste of time. I'm like, hey, it's a weird double standard. With Azha just 2 days away, people of the city on Sunday, they thronged to the 9 city markets and supermarkets to purchase sacrificial animals. And a large number of citizens were witnessed in the animal markets, and the number of buyers and so forth and so on. These people are demanding these high prices, etc., etc. This is the dailytimes.com.pk. I don't know if that means Pakistan or what. The other one is www.don.com.yabadabadabadoo.html. So I'm kind of weirded out by all this, because I have a Christian background. I'm not into animal sacrifice personally. So I went to read about it, in Wikipedia, which Wikipedia says Islam makes no general provision for animal sacrifice. However, it's considered to be incumbent upon sufficiently wealthy Muslims to sacrifice a large mammal during Eid-ul Adha, the festival of sacrifice, which falls during the period of a pilgrimage to Mecca. Typically a sheep or a goat is sacrificed, although some sacrifice cattle or camel instead. The meat's usually given away to charity, in which it's a sacrifice of Ishmael, in which God tested the faith of Abraham by ordering him to sacrifice his son, Ishmael. I thought that was kind of weird, too, as far as the difference in the way my thought process works, being Christian. So that was Wikipedia. And then, I was just thinking about a newspaper calling it the Double Standard, okay? That's what I searched on in Google. I came up with this one here. Okay? This one is freebird.instablogs.com, entry, sacrificial animals, da-da-da-da-da. And basically it's saying that at the moment there's a handful of websites that sell sacrificial animals online. The animals, they might be bought just by placing your order online with a few clicks. The animal is shipped to the doorstep of the customer. And it seems to be the main reason behind the increasing popularity of online purchase sale of the animals. Many people don't like the stinking, dirty animal fairs of crowded markets in general, especially these days when bombings and crime is at an all-time high. The animals are sold and bought online, mostly through the use of credit cards, da-da-da-da-da-da. But on this page, here's what's really interesting about this page, animal sacrifices. You go up here towards the top, I don't know if you can see this mouse moving around, but there's a spot over on the right. Crappy cameraman here. Is a link, an advertising link for the Humane Society, which I found that to be somewhat unique. Because if you go over and look at the page that's talking about the Humane Society, which is a banner ad on their page, it talks about rescuing animals. Hurry, don't let another animal be a victim of cruel and senseless abuse. Donate this money. That comes from the page over here that talks about buying your sacrificial animals online. Same page. I just kind of get weirded about that. Then you got some question and answers over here, which is Islam Q&A. And this is www.islam-qa.com/en/cat/119, but I think cat is C@T. I'm not sure. Anyways, the sacrifice was injured before it was slaughtered. Can we eat meat that's slaughtered by one who doesn't pray? What should the one who wants to offer the sacrifice refrain from doing? Is it essential that the animal be slaughtered by a Muslim? Is one sacrifice sufficient on behalf of the members of the household? Can you share it? What's the best animal to use? They're saying camels and then cows, sheep, and then you share in that. If a guy has 2 wives, should he have 2 sacrifices? How old should the sacrificed animal be? What should be avoided from one who wants to have a sacrifice? Okay, then you got another page here. Same thing, I'm really freaking on this. It's all about El Adha celebration for the most part. Just pictures of bloody hands and people killing animals and looking at their teeth in advance. And the next one is Demo Tix, talks about Muslims around the world prepare for Eid al-Adha, and it shows the animal markets and different things like that. I mean, this stuff that you can search on, really. But then, I had to find out about a little bit about this once-a-year thing. I mean, it's like as big as Christmas. Although Abraham was ready to sacrifice his dearest for Allah's sake, this is Wikipedia. Excuse me. Although Abraham was ready to sacrifice his dearest for Allah's sake, he could not just go and drag his son to the place of sacrifice without his consent. Ishmael had to be consulted as to whether he was willing to give up his life as fulfillment to God's command. This consultation would be a major test of Ishmael's maturity in faith, love, and commitment for Allah, willingness to obey his father and sacrifice his own life for the sake of Allah. Now I kind of was getting to feel kind of eerie about that. Abraham presented the matter to his son and asked for his opinion about the dreams of slaughtering him. Ishmael did not show any hesitation or reservation, even for a moment. Now this story is relevant to that once-a-year event, that Eid al-Adha celebration that goes on once a year. At least that's what I've been reading. And so Abraham presented the matter to his son and asked him about it. And it said that you will find me, Ishmael, God willing, Insha'Allah, God willing, to be very patient, was his response. His mature response and his deep insight into the nature of his dad's dream, his commitment to Allah, and ultimately his willingness to sacrifice his own life for the sake of Allah was all unprecedented.
So when both the Father and the Son had shown their perfect obedience to Allah, and they had practically demonstrated their willingness to sacrifice their most precious possessions for His sake, Abraham by laying down his son for sacrifice, and Ishmael by lying patiently under the knife, Allah called out to them, stating that his sincere intentions had been accepted and that he need not carry out the killing of Ishmael. Instead, Abraham was told to replace his son with a ram to sacrifice instead. And Allah also told them that they had passed the test imposed on them and his willingness to carry out God's command. Now, what really blew me away is that, see, Ishmael is the son of an Egyptian woman, Hagar, and Abraham is the dad. But Isaac wasn't born from Sarah because of the great thing that was done with Ishmael in his willingness to be sacrificed for God, according to the Bible. In fact, Isaac wasn't a blessing because of this event, number one. Number two, it wasn't even Ishmael who was under the knife. It was Isaac. And not only was it Isaac who was under the knife, who was the son of Sarai, who became Sarah, he wasn't informed in advance about this issue. He was brought there because Abraham was obeying God, and Abraham was tying him up and going to put him down. And he asked, where is the sacrifice? And Abraham said that the Lord will provide. See? So it was Abraham who had the faith, not Isaac. And his faith was that the Lord would provide the sacrifice. And ultimately, God stopped him and provided the ram, but the lesson in that story is that Abraham was willing to give up his son, yes, but that the Lord would provide an alternative, and that alternative was pointing to Jesus Christ, who would be the ultimate sacrifice for humanity. Bottom line, it wasn't about Abraham willing to give up his life, or Isaac giving up his life in strict, perfect obedience to God. It was in the fact that the Lord would provide an alternative for them so that they wouldn't suffer the penalty of death. See, because sin is a transgression of the law, and the penalty for sin is death, so it all fits, and it makes sense, and it causes one to understand the event that Jesus Christ actually did. But in reading this story where they insert Ishmael instead of Isaac and tell him in advance, the moral to that story seems to be that you're willing to die for Allah. Whereas from the Bible, the moral to the story is that Allah is willing to die for you. Or his son, Jesus Christ, is willing to die for me. So it was really trippy how that came about. You know, I leave the comments open on this.